Hello, Gotham, and good evening. Lexi here with Ryan for another episode of Gotham City Tonight. And tonight, I'm very excited for what I feel like is going to be kind of a controversial evening. I see some of you in the comments already letting your opinions be known. But tonight, we are going to talk about the current mantle of Robin and the two people that are kind of warring for it, even if not literally in canon, kind of figuratively just in DC canon. Tim Drake and Damian Wayne. It's an interesting place they're kind of at right now in the comics.
It really is, because I never would have guessed they were ever going to allow Tim back as Batman's right-hand man. And even though they do kind of there are hints there, here and there, maybe in Tom King's run a little bit, that, Tim is still important, but we all know where everything stands right now, regardless. Just generational, just how things go. Damian's got that top spot. And that's just life, and we've had to deal with it ever since he appeared. But that's fine.
It's okay. That's what Tim says about Damian too.
That's it's true. Yeah, we do. But let's before we really get into the meat and potatoes of all this, I want to say hello to the chat.
Yes.
We got Gotham Stalker already with bold opinions, ready to go, siding with Tim. We got Ostradamus Toys. What's up, people? We got Ryan B back tonight for another show. Awesome. Thank you for hanging out with us. But yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah. So I think one of the things we have to clarify first going in is this a discussion about, because I feel like there's two different sides to this conversation. There's who do you prefer as Robin, and then there's canonically really who is Robin right now. Because those could be two different answers as well.
Correct. Yep.
Because I think we all know that if either of us had to choose, gun to our heads, we would each make the very difficult choice of you would be Team Tim and I would be Team Damian for who we prefer.
Right. And it's just, at the same time too, we have to, I also have to let go of my nostalgia at some point and just, see Damian for who he is and what he is. And I've come to accept him a long time ago. But sometimes that nostalgia just kicks right back in. I mean, I don't know any other Robins that got to make out with anybody from the Marvel universe, but Tim has. So I'm just gonna throw that out.
I feel like if we dug deep enough, we could find an example where Dick has. I have that gut instinct. I do.
There was a Titans X-Men crossover at one point, and I can't remember him making out with anybody. But you're right.
Look at our boy gets around. I just
seeing Jean's type of men. I think Dick Grayson's probably up there.
I was gonna say, did you wear Dick Grayson's colors to be carefully neutral on this Tim Damian debate?
You are correct, and that's why I even wore the sweater vest. I went full Dick to just make sure nobody knew I was choosing sides, and then I was trying to come in as central on this as possible, and trying not to let.
Going to embrace from the get-go that we had sides.
Right, but it was at the same time too. It's just like most people know I'm huge into Tim, so I'm trying to come in here open-minded, I guess is what it's coming down to. Because
absolutely,
we're about to get into some quotes from some heavy hitters in comics
from both sides.
From both sides, and I found out I better get ready because some people that I love and idolize might not necessarily be on the same side that I am. So we're gonna find out here how that goes. Oh, do we got? Oh, we got the baby big feeling warning. All right, the baby big feeling warning is up on Lexi's side.
So. It is, so I'm gonna do my best, but if I have to mute myself really quickly, that is why. He'll be out of the room in a minute. Oh, there he goes.
Yeah. So with that said, I guess Dick Grayson's not gonna be part of this this conversation, so we're just sticking to the two I guess the two last male Robins, because I would have to say, because Stephanie Brown fits in between them, so I can't say the last two. So it's going to be between that. We're just going to go through I guess we're going to be doing just some commentary. Like we were saying earlier, there's some comic pros that have took their sides. We're going to take a look at them, and we're
Well, and I
gonna
think
put our own big feelings in here.
the big reason that this is even a conversation, this shocked me. Like some other things that we talk about this is not a result of Ryan and I having our own big feelings like in DMs. This is actually because right now in the comics, you have Tim Drake underneath the Robin mantle. He's in Batman and Robin. He's in the Batman run. He's wearing the green, red, and yellow. He's wearing the R. He is Batman's Robin right now. But so is Damian in a different way. He's still wearing the R. You know, he's the character that's in the Batman versus Robin run. So, which is also mainline canon. So you have these two characters where they are both using this mantle in current canon. And I'm not sure if we've seen that, at least not recently.
No, because usually somebody leaves. Somebody has to leave. So even when like Tim got fired for a bit, Stephanie stepped in, and I know saw Gotham Stalker asking, "Is Stephanie as Robin still canon?" It's still canon to me.
I know. I will never let go of that.
Yeah, like I think just to kind of like talk about canon and stuff too. I think the way Rebirth started and New 52 ended, it feels like they just kind of mashed them together. So I mean, I guess make canon what you want to be as canon. I don't see why not. But yeah, I digress here. The but we haven't had like you said, we haven't had two Robins. One usually has to leave the mantle before we get it. And even though Robin, like even Tim's gone from like Robin to Red Robin to Drake for a little bit. Yeah,
don't forget the time he just used his real last name.
That yes, right. Like it just when he called himself Drake, I just thought of Darkwing Duck, right? Drake Mallard.
Literally, and they tried to say it's like, oh, it's because ducks are aggressive birds, and I'm like, okay, but then since when has that described him either?
Yeah, if you got breadcrumbs. Yeah, then they're aggressive. I don't know.
He's aggressively following the breadcrumbs, the clues to the story.
Right? Like maybe for money. The last, Scrooge McDuck is aggressive, I guess. I don't know. I don't know where they're.
Yeah.
Maybe I just don't know enough about ducks. Maybe I got to research on them.
That's the only reason it was dumb, and not because it's his real name.
Right.
It's and then they went because we don't know enough about ducks.
And then he went back to Robin, and this was before he became Batman's partner again, like his number one, right? So but it seems like Damian's left that mantle, hence Batman versus Robin, but he still goes by Robin.
And you think he
I guess there's Robin
clothes?
Red, Robin Gray.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's a very interesting because there's no denying that Tim is the Robin. Like I said, like he's in the green and red, he's in the iconic suit. He's the one that's by Batman's side. He's the Robin in Batman and Robin. And that represents a lot. But then where I get confused is when you have a title called Batman versus Robin, not Batman versus Son, or Batman versus, they could give him a new name. I was always a fan of, not everything in Injustice, but the concept of Damian becoming Nightwing, even in his future, I think is always cool. They were just, the fact that they committed to the name Robin in the title of pretty much every run he's in. He was in the title called Robin, and that ended, and now his run is Batman versus Robin. They've continued to keep Robin, the R on his chest. They could have had a symbolic moment where, you rip off the R, and now he's just in a black and gray because he doesn't have the iconic colors. So he would be so easy without a complete rebranding to just rip the R off and be like, I'm in black and gray and red, and I'm all assassiny now. They could have, but they didn't, and I feel like that had to have been for a reason.
Yeah, Yeah, so I do honestly think Damian's going to be coming back as Robin as soon as a lot of this storyline is over.
I
So
agree.
I do feel like by early next year, and they're probably going to kill off Tim along the way for the third time. And
Oh, Tim.
I just or something's going to happen, right? Like it's just
Yeah.
man, I don't
Is
even know how
Tim
to feel about.
finally going to get permanent growth? Is he finally going to get a hero persona that isn't a burger chain or his actual people name?
Yeah, it's yeah, I honestly don't
'Cause
know where Tim fits in all of this unless he becomes like the new Oracle in a sense because he is so smart and he probably
now
can
that she's back in Batgirl.
now that she's back in Batgirl. Like I could see him being the guy in the chair, like but in the cave as opposed to his own watchtower. I could see him
Right.
being there with still right there side by side with Bruce,
Mhm.
but sending him and Damian
And I
off
think that
on
one is
their
so
own
hard for
things.
me because I personally love that concept. I would love to see Tim in the chair, using his brain more. I feel like just based off the way the comics have treated, I mean, Babs and her disability, I feel like they will never put an able-bodied character behind a screen like that because they don't know how to make a powerful character that isn't kicking across the rooftops. They did not
Yes.
other than of course certain writers,
Yep.
of
Like
course,
Gail
like there's
Simone.
but there are other writers that have written, and I'm going to say, like, again, he is a writer who has done a lot of really great things, but Tom Taylor has written some very inaccurate disability representation in his current Nightwing run, that was, very uncomfortable for a lot of that population of people to see. And not just him, there have been a lot of things that have been said about Babs and her time as Oracle that are like, really?
Yeah,
Um,
not nice stuff. I've seen it in
right.
Wizard too, like where it's just like
Exactly.
we're gonna go
So
there.
I just cannot see them taking an able-bodied character, when they value that physical aspect so much and putting him in a chair when they don't have a narrative reason he has to be.
Yeah, it's really too bad that it has to be like that with comics because and I find this more with North American comics. I find that when you go if you dig deep into like Japanese and Korean manga, you can legit have 200 pages of people just sitting there talking and it's interesting. Uh
Absolutely.
and it's unfortunate that we haven't like really come to that yet. And again, like and I know I talk about this issue all the time, but I love it so much and it hit me in such a way that it's just like it made me really remind me why I loved comics so much. And that's the issue of Batman called Double Date.
Oh,
Nothing
yes.
happens. It's just two couples hanging out,
That is still one
right?
of my favorite things of all time.
Of all time, it's one of my favorite things. And it's so funny because it's just, like really nothing happens. The only action we see is Superman pitching a baseball to Batman at the end, proving that, Batman can hit the ball if he
Yeah,
pitched it,
we do get to see
right? Like,
all 4 of them in the changing room, and it's equal opportunity eye candy, so no complaints here for all 4 characters,
yes,
which is fantastic,
absolutely.
but not the action they're usually talking about. I think for Tim, what I want for him, I want him to have his own team, not the Titans, not, the Outlaws. I want a new team that Tim builds from the ground up that is his.
So not quite Young Justice
No,
or so,
that's what
that's
I
really
want
cool.
for Tim.
Okay.
And he can pull in
That's
Khan because I mean John is a Superman right now. So what's Khan doing with his life?
where's
Let him
Impulse
take a
right
new
now?
mantle. Drop the super. Let Khan have a totally new name. Jump into Tim's team as Tim gets a new name. Let them both rebrand and get away from their oppressive dads. You
Hmm.
know,
Like a 90s rebranding of kind of like what they did with Kyle Rayner for a little bit, where they made him the White
absolutely.
Lantern, right?
Yeah.
Just
Just
kind
let
of
them
like
do something entirely new.
it would be kind of cool. You could actually bring in some of these like 90s characters. They brought it in to like freshen up, DC when everyone felt
Yeah.
like, oh, it's getting old. Like, look what Marvel's doing, blah, blah, blah. And their thing to Marvel was like, well, plus, first off, killing people and hurting people was like big money in the early 90s.
Oh yeah.
That's why Batman broke his back. So like there's just death of Superman, death of Hal Jordan. Everybody was dying. So, but now they brought them all back, so you've got these like middle ground characters that just kind of aren't getting any screen time at all, or page time, I guess it would be.
Yeah.
I would love to see Connor Hawke return, that Green Arrow.
Yes. I mean, he's in Damian's run.
He is in Damian's run. Yes.
Yeah.
Right? But
So he's on Team Damian right now. I mean, Tim could steal him.
Tim could
It's an
steal
option.
him. Right? And I think he should
let him
bring
do more because Damian's fighting his dad being possessed by a demon or whatever. So yeah, let Connor Hawke go off with Tim.
Absolutely. So I just like there's a lot of Teen Titans that don't get used either from the 80s and 90s. Let's bring just some
Tracy
of them back.
13.
Yep.
I'd love to see Tracy 13 do more. She's fun.
Yes. Like just taking all these characters that we're not utilizing.
I feel like we're Tim.
I feel like we're like sometimes I feel like we're talking about pro wrestling. Because the same thing happens in pro wrestling where they sign a bunch of wrestlers. They don't use them how you want them to be used on TV. And you go, well, they should do this. And that's how I feel like what we're doing. They're not utilizing these characters. And I want to see them utilized. And I think Tim would be the right guy to do that. I don't think let Damian be Robin. I can't believe I'm actually saying that. But it's just like at the same time, I feel like Damian's been in that spot already for so long, and I know there's like this weird shelf life with Robins before they feel like they have to move them on. But
if you're not
like
aging Tim
Damian's
up,
been
fine.
Robin longer than Tim. I feel like Damian's been
Are we talking years, like story years, or our years of him occupying the time?
Our years of reading comics. So when
I'm not sure actually.
So when Tim Drake appeared,
Damian became Robin in 2009, so that's 13 years ago.
Yeah, and I feel like Tim was like 1990 to. Oh, okay.
Then that would have been 19 years.
Yeah, so like
so
we're getting close to
more.
Right,
because Damian got introduced like twice before he finally actually became Robin. They kept like throwing him in as a plot point and then like resetting because they realized they did it terribly and he sucked. So
right.
until finally they like committed to like, okay, put him in as Robin, flesh out his character, do him right. I want to address the chat really quickly because it has been blowing up and we have been so focused. We like the idea of new Oracle for Tim. We hate the idea of death for Tim. Thank you, Aiden and John. Ostradamus does not see them giving Tim more of that permanent growth. And I hate that I agree with you because I want it for him very badly. Have time to lead a flock of Robins. Oh, like call his new team Robins. Ooh, I don't know how the rest would feel about him taking the name with him.
Hang on, because he makes a point up here. With the book that came out, it was like a short run book of like street kids that like all wore R's and they were like just going around doing good, called We Are Robin. I think that's where he's kind of going with that, with the idea of more than one Robin at the same time. I mean, we've got 2 Batgirls. I mean, so I guess that's a thing too. Well, 3 technically.
Yeah.
All 3, right?
Yeah, I think all 3 of them are currently using the name Batgirl. Which, but that's okay because female characters don't need character development. They are just sexy lamps. It's fine.
Oh, I don't. Okay, I'm gonna argue with you on this one, just this one time, because usually you for the most part you're correct on that. However, that new Batgirls book, where it's just Steph and Cass, is super fun and super cute.
I don't love it.
No.
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna fight about this on a different episode.
Fair. Next week.
Right. Okay.
I wanted to love it. I wanted to love it really bad.
Right. That's fair. That's totally fair. I thought the book was fun, but you're talking to like just another dude, so that makes sense. In my opinion, Tim is. This is from Bat Force Grump, thank you for actually tuning in with us too from Bat Force Radio.
Yes,
In
hi.
my opinion, Tim has always felt the most comfortable working with Batman and close to him. They're both cerebral. That's very true.
Yes. Well, I also think Tim is the only Robin. Like he needed growth from Bruce in certain ways, but it was about Bruce's healing. Tim was the only Robin where he didn't really need something from Bruce for himself.
Correct.
Every other Robin needs to take something from Bruce, which they deserve because they're children that he brought in as a grown adult. So them needing something from him is not a bad thing, you
Right.
know.
Right.
But
Because
Tim's the only
Tim had his
one.
own family.
Yeah, he was the only one that came in to give to Bruce instead. So I think that's
Correct.
part of why their dynamic works because he doesn't make Bruce change,
Yeah, he just says,
except
"Here,
for the better.
this is how you solve this riddle, idiot." Right?
Yeah,
That's him.
literally.
And I
Whereas
think that
everyone
was
else is like, be a better person, be a better dad. And Bruce is like, I cannot.
yeah. Meanwhile, Tim's just like, "Hey, what's up?" Right?
Exactly.
While you guys were all fighting in the back, I just solved this mystery. If you could just take a look at
Literally.
these.
If someone could sign off my report for the night, I'm gonna go to
Yeah,
bed.
I'm just gonna go hang out with Steph if you don't mind. We're cool,
Exactly.
right?
Or with Bernard. He's gonna go hang out with
Yeah.
Bernard now.
Well, I'll be up with Bernard in my room. I just got back from Shakes with Steph.
Literally. Please
That's
turn off all your security cameras, Bruce, that I know
right.
you have. The main problem, Gotham Stalker says, is not being able to let characters go. Like Clark, Bruce, and Diana just need to go and let the newer gen characters move up. And we've kind of got to
Oh,
experience that with John Kent in the Superman role. I mean, he's been doing it for a year and a half now, but
and
Clark
the
is
new
coming
Wonder
back.
Girl as well has been in the Justice League.
Yes. She's been in the Justice League as Wonder Woman under the Wonder Woman name.
Correct.
And then Dick was Batman for a hot minute there with Damian. So they definitely try it at times, but I don't think they will ever commit to fully releasing Clark, Bruce, and Diane. And you know what? That's the one that I'm a little okay with.
Mm-hmm.
The only way I really wanted to see them go was, again, if John had stayed young, watching John and Damian grow up to take on Batman and Superman together someday. I thought that would have been cool, but we've already lost that until the next DC mass reset, which we all know will happen eventually.
That's true, but we're always But I'm with you too. I think the Trinity has to be. They're the Trinity for a reason. They're the reason we have DC Comics, and in fact, with Superman, he's the reason we have superhero comics as big as they are at all. So I'm, let him grow, let him change, let him evolve with the times, whether with his powers or socially or personality wise. I mean, that's just, you read Superman from the 60s, it's a different book than today. I'm going to tell you that now, right? Especially Lois Lane.
Oh yeah.
Right.
She's so good now.
Yes. It's funny. She went like, look, we always get into a Lois Lane talk. I'm gonna not do it this time. I swear to God. I just love Lois Lane so much. And but yeah, I just think the Trinity has to be what it is. I think 10 years ago, I probably would have said Aquaman has to be in that top 4 of the pillars. Because he used to be before the Trinity, it used to be the big 4.
Yeah.
And then Super Friends came out. And then once that cartoon Super Friends came out, he got that was it. It stuck with him. He's been bullied ever since by the public, by fans. It was just the cool thing to do, to rip on Aquaman. So I would, but even now, like, I feel like, I thought, I'll be straight up honest, not the biggest fan of Jason Momoa on the screen. He's charismatic and everything, don't get me wrong. I'm not the biggest fan. However,
am a fan.
And that's as you're but you're part of that target audience for Jason Momoa.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And I get it. The dude is gorgeous. And but I love the idea of a Samoan Arthur Curry.
Yeah, like, the idea of coming from a culture that has such that deep connection to the ocean and the water. I think that is honestly, other than the part that he's gorgeous, which I'm not going to pretend is not real, that is actually one of the things that I love the most about that casting, is like that nod to a culture that isn't another white American man.
Right. And Starfire's reaction to him in the latest Teen Titans Go was probably one of the funniest things I've ever seen. So I can't believe they actually did that for the cartoon, but they did it, and I love it.
And there's a comment here from Gotham Stalker that I really like, saying that was the same dynamic with Tim and Con as well. And I think that was referring back to kind of like Tim's tendency to give and to just kind of let people be instead of take, which, yes, and is also kind of Tim's dynamic with Jason too. Like, he was the one when Jason came back from the dead, despite being Jason's target, has kind of been the one to sort of just forgive Jason the easiest over and over and over again, which could be a good or a bad thing.
I like it. Because it gives
anyone who likes Tim likes it. Tim fans like that very, very much.
Okay, and I'll tell you why I think the reason why I do like that is because while everyone pushes up against Jason, Jason still, like, he's angry, he's frustrated, but he still wants to be involved, and the only one that's letting him be involved is Tim. Tim is the only one accepting him back with open arms, being like, you can sit with us. Meanwhile, everyone just sits there and does their brooding that they do, right? So that's why I like it. It's a very Tim thing to do.
It is 100% in character. It is so, I think that, like, when you kind of first get to know Tim, if you're going through like his canon story, his reaction to Jason's return, I think, is one of the most like character defining things about Tim. Like, when you're like, if you were to write a new Tim story and think, okay, how would Tim react to this? What kind of a person is Tim? I feel like you can refer back to like how he treated Jason as kind of like the blueprint of Tim's character in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I would absolutely. Yeah, I do agree with that for sure. I also want to pull up this.
He moves on. Let's talk about my Robin a little bit. Oh yeah,
hang on. Just one last comment from Bat Force Grump. Tim's the only son that never leaves home, which is another good point as well, because even Damian has just been like, "I'm out of here." So it's
like 3 times already.
Like 3 times, yeah. Right? And even when they had Tim kind of do it in New 52, that Tim was really, I don't know. That Tim to me still is just like, who are you, dude?
I mean, that was New 52.
Dude, New 52 is so hot and cold, right? Like, you get Wonder Woman and Batman, which were like amazing books. And then you get Teen Titans, and you're just like, Brent Booth, why are you drawing the women like that? They're teenagers. And you're just like, why does everyone feel so out of character? Yeah, what's going on here? This isn't 1996. Stop that.
And this is where, you know what they say, canon is a pantry, and you just pick and choose, you know?
Yeah.
The shelf with a lot of different options on it sometimes.
Yes, do pick up Jeff Johns' Aquaman book. It's actually really, really good. I was going to go for these last 2 big comments here.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna go right into some Timness, because some Damianness.
Talking about Damian, go for it.
Yeah, I'm doing it on purpose. Wait, well, trust me, they're gonna get equal amount of time tonight. I swear. I wish we could get the book like Young Justice cartoon, where it really feels like it matters. It's not just side quests. It genuinely feels like there's a whole world that's just theirs. That's from John Your Cave Part 4. Yeah, I agree with that. That's it's such a good cartoon. And Zatanna, yep. See, it's someone else Dick Grayson dated, and she loved him for it. Okay, Bat Force Grump. Full disclosure, Jason Todd is my least favorite character in the Batman world. That's a common thing. I wish he stayed dead. Okay, there we go. And I will forever feel like he's being around takes away from death in the family. That is an absolute fair opinion.
Listen, here is my also opinion. Jason Todd, I don't know about the Batman world entirely, but he is my least favorite Robin. I don't.
He is mine too.
He's kind of obnoxious.
I think he was kind of meant to be. I think here's what ended up happening. I think because they were like, you can't just bring in a new Robin and make him Dick Grayson again, even though he looks exactly like Dick Grayson in his Robin costume. Because they didn't even really draw him like any kind of like bigger or skinnier or nothing like that. They both looked identical.
His hair like coiffed, like had like a little extra wave in it.
Yeah, or something.
Maybe.
But it was like by chance, by the inker, you know, who knows? The printing machine broke that day. But it was like but you're right, like Jason, like they had to do something different. They couldn't make him Dick Grayson, so they went the other route and they made him annoying and a bit of a dick, and like, and you know,
And I actually
I
didn't
could
mind him so much when he was Robin. It's when he came back as Red Hood that I was just kind of over it.
the
I
guns, the
don't
mask,
like
the
not even that part.
oh,
It
okay,
was all of his logic when he came back and was like, I was murdered by the Joker, betrayed by my mother,
mm-hmm.
all of these different things. But what I'm really mad about, the one thing that I'm going to draw the line at, is that Bruce didn't kill the Joker. And now I'm going to completely, I mean, he messes with the Joker, but he kind of, the Joker's just like a pawn in this like giant anti Bruce campaign. And it
Right,
just felt like such a stretch to bring drama to the Bat family. Like, really? And that fact that that was about Jason being originally a redhead who had to dye his hair black. So this is just a personal headcanon that I love the idea that he still had black hair dye in his hair when he died and was put into the pit, and it made his hair permanently black. So you still get redhead young Jason and black haired older Jason.
right.
But that's just something that I like to think about to connect the different canons in my head. Again, canon is it's a shelf, you pick and choose. But all of that logic, and they've tried to justify it 1,000 times over. Well, Tim was in his spot. Well, he doesn't care about the Joker. He cares about what Bruce thinks. Like, you can give me 1,000 different reasons, and I still think the whole thing was just dumb and forced.
Yep, that's a totally a fair opinion. I always thought Red Hood looked cool. I like all his like
Yes.
helmets and stuff. I think he looks jacket. I think he looks like a badass.
Yeah.
I even liked his story, his outlaws group with like Bizarro and stuff. I
Yeah.
like that. I don't know. I liked it. But I could totally like. I don't love him. He's definitely. I wouldn't call him one of my like top favorite things. The best way to always like for me to justify how much I love a character. How many action figures of them do I have? And I think I might only have like one Red Hood figure, and the
Yeah.
rest are all like the rest is
Yeah.
all dick. I got
And
so
again,
much
if
dick
I
behind
think
me.
if they just kind
It's
of
insane.
ignored the whole Bruce connection, and if he just came back as an avenging angel that like mostly just kind of ignored the Bat family and just came out with the
Mm-hmm.
helmet and the guns and just like laying waste to Gotham's villains, targeting the Joker, and like Bruce gets involved just because Red Hood's killing a bunch of people. I actually think I would have been way more interested in that. It was the fact that he was so weirdly obsessed with Bruce specifically that felt so meh.
Yeah.
Like,
I no, I yeah, I totally get that. That's a totally valid opinion. Uh, but now it's your time to shine. Let's get into Damian.
let's get into Damian Al Ghul Wayne, my baby, my child, my son. Um, so right off the bat, I really believe that I would say 9 out of 10. I'm going to say 7 out of 10 people who hate Damian Wayne read that. Oh God, I keep bashing it. And someday I'm going to meet someone who worked on it. And I'm not going to apologize. I can't. It was just bad. The introduction that they did for Damian Wayne into DC Comics, the current Damian Wayne as we know him today, because the original Damian, son of the Bat, was Bruce knew Talia was pregnant. He was with her for her pregnancy. She faked a miscarriage in the hospital, told Bruce the baby was dead, and then sent the baby to a suburban American family to be raised. And they said the name was Damian. So that was written into the comics, into the Batman comics, and then just never addressed again. They put that in there. They never bothered to retcon it, but no one ever went back to it until finally you come to modern times and they go, hey, remember that thing we wrote? We're not going to do that part anymore, but let's say Talia kept that kid. Let's say Bruce didn't know. And now let's say that kid is 10 and has a sword and is an asshole. And he's showing
Right.
it. And I love it. So originally, he's very, even by 10-year-old standards, obnoxious in that first introduction. Like, not fun obnoxious either. And it's not just him. That entire story was badly written. It just was. There are moments that make no sense. They insist 1,000 times over that Raish needs Damian because he needs someone who shares his blood to possess their body. So, like, at one point during that run, he possesses his brother, kills his brother off to take his body. That's what he says he's going to use Damian for. And then at one point, for no reason to bring Tim back into this, he kidnaps Tim. And then there's this whole scene in a cave where Tim and Damian are like lying on the ground unconscious, or Damian's tied up and Tim is unconscious, or whatever it is. And he like brings Bruce in and is like, choose one. You say they're both your sons. You can save one and I'm going to possess the other one. And I'm like, why is Tim an option? You've been insisting this whole time it has to be a blood relative. So that was weird. I'm like, why are you even doing this right now? Like, you're dying. Just possess someone. It's this whole thing. Really just, again, Nightwing at one point, like, he does some weird, awful stuff. Tim, like, beats the crap out of Damian in the middle of the manor while Damian is, like, just trying to, like, talk to Alfred. Tim, like, shows up and assumes Damian is trying to kill him and just, like, starts beating the crap out of this kid. It's, like, really vicious. And there's just so many things that are out of character for the other Bat family members. Nothing makes sense story-wise. They end up at like the Fountain of Youth with like an army of assassins. And Bruce, who met Damian all of like 2 days ago, Talia's like, I'm going to take our 10-year-old child who I've known for his entire life and get him somewhere safe. And Bruce tells her, no, let him fight. And like forces her to let go of Damian and sends this 10-year-old into the fray. And it's just like, and specifically she's trying to get him away because she's like, Raish is trying to possess Damian, so I need to get Damian away from Raish. And Bruce goes, no, and sends Damian into the battle towards Raish for no fucking reason other than, there's my F-bomb for the night, other than Damian says he really wants to fight. And it is the most ridiculous thing ever. So I need to address the comments really quickly. Batman said 1987. Yes, that is exactly what I was thinking of. I think at the very end of that, they did introduce the name Damian, but it was like not until like the very end, as they're like handing him to the suburban family. They're like, and his name is Damian. I think if I'm remembering correctly, but I will stand for being wrong on that. But yeah, so that was the Damian as we know him today, his introduction to comics. So if that is the only thing you've read of Damian Wayne and you hate him, I get it, but also then you don't get to have a part in this conversation because we are, I mean, that was what, 2005, 6?
Yeah.
It was a few years before they came back as Robin. So we are now 15, 16, 17 years of character development away from that, you know? So, okay, that's your opinion. I can't change it. That was a really weird freaking special, because then after that, Damian doesn't become Robin right away. After that, he goes back with Talia. He just vanishes from the story, and the Batman series goes on with Tim as Robin, and they never address it. And it makes it weirder because now Bruce knows his blood son is in the League of Assassins with Talia, and he does nothing about it. He doesn't write. He doesn't like think about it. He's never shown to be brooding about it. He like Tim never goes, have you talked to your son lately? Like, it's just a thing that, like, this.
What son?
What's, oh, shit, right, the one in the League of Assassins.
Yeah.
So that made it even weirder, makes Bruce look like even worse of a dad. Like, ever since Damian's introduction, any development Bruce ever made as a father figure has plummeted. So again, it was just this weird introduction, this horrible fallout, this ridiculous, and then we're not going to talk about it era. And it was so badly done.
I think there was also this like part 2 where it was like, I don't think Damian was supposed to end up being as popular as he was supposed to be. And if I'm trying to remember correctly, like Kevin Smith way back when, he used to have a podcast called Fat Man on Batman. And it was just him interviewing people that worked on Batman comics or movies, or like Kevin Conroy, Arlene Sorkin, all that. Like, I remember him interviewing Grant Morrison, and you know what? Bat Force Grumps, he'll probably know this. He might remember this as well, and he might be able to correct me. As I'm gonna hope he's able to correct me if I'm wrong. He was also said like he was shocked at how popular Damian Wayne was, and he wasn't meant to be that popular. There it is, right?
Yeah,
He wanted to kill off Damian in the first arc, correct? Right, and he was
fair.
not meant to be that popular. Then, of course, they write the whole thing with him gone, and then also everyone's like, "Well, where'd he go?"
Yeah.
And they ended up having to like write him in. But then at that time too, I think they were already the plans were in motion to kill off Batman and lose him through time, or however that was with the Omega Beam
Hmm.
from another one of them crisis books that we get every 3 years, and especially at that time. And so yeah, it was. I think that's kind of what happened. And Nelson, of course, we all started to. I think the moment I started loving Damian, where I was like, okay, I love Damian, was when he was with Dick.
Oh yeah, I think that's everyone has to at least give that run a chance for Damien. Do, 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 do. The first Damien books that John read were the Dick and Damien, Batman and Robin by Morrison.
Yes.
And oh yeah, that run in their dynamic was so beautiful. Everyone wants to kill Damien, including Morrison.
Yeah.
So, and I'm gonna say, and this is a personal thing, and this is gonna be a stab at Tim. I'm saying it right now, and I know it, and I'm sorry. Again, I liked him. But I think what made Damien so popular at the time, at least what I enjoyed about him, was when Tim was Robin, like we've kind of talked about, Tim gives to Batman. He doesn't take. Nightwing is off doing his own thing. He wasn't interacting with the Bat family very much then. Red Hood had mostly settled down at that point. He was still always kind of a drama point, but he wasn't really messing with the Bat family actively then.
Right.
So you really just had Bruce and then Tim, and Batman was a little boring with their dynamic. I'm going to say it. Without anyone else influencing, with just the two of them, it was a little dull.
I am trying to. I think I'm going to have to agree, and I'm only saying this because because there was always the big storylines, right? There was Hush, and then we had Red Hood coming back, and then we had Damian. And I can't tell you what happened in between those. I think,
Yeah.
I'm actually drawing. Granted, that was like almost 20 years ago. I was in my 20s then. Things are going to be a little hazy. Let's be honest.
Yep.
But yeah, I honestly cannot remember outside of those big major storylines.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. Maybe it was just like
And
like
I had kind of stopped reading Batman around that time. And I tried. So after I read the Damien arc with him coming back, it was badly written, but it was feral and it was different. And Damien was feral. Like Jason had an attitude, but he was no tiny. This little 10-year-old assassin came in, slit Tim's throat, punched Alfred in the face, and said, "I'm your son, suck my dick." And we haven't seen that in the Bat family yet. We hadn't seen someone just come in, not as a villain or an outsider, but as a member of the family and just say, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, throw everything for a loop in the way that Damian kind of did. And I was interested again. I didn't necessarily like Damian at that point, but I loved what he did to the Bat family. I love that he threw Bruce off his game. I love that he pissed off Tim. We got to see Tim like kind of losing his mind. We got to see Dick coming in and being like, I'm going to punch a 10-year-old. How often do we see Dick wanting to punch a 10-year-old? It's Dick Grayson. So he just brought out this new like angry energy in everybody, but it was interesting. So when that arc ends, when you go back to the Batman and Robin issues that directly kind of predate that and overlap that, it's just kind of Bruce and Tim in England following like a killer. And it's just like, it's normal. And you're kind of like, well, now I'm bored again. So when Damian comes back and he takes Robin again, it's not even so much, I think, that people like Damian himself. People just like the energy of having him in the room. That's why the Damian Dick dynamic was so good, because it kind of removed the angst that would have just been Bruce and Damian, like we've seen for the past few years with them together. And it was allowed to be like Damian was the Bruce. And Dick got to be, Dick Grayson, that Robin Dick Grayson energy, but as a mentor instead of a student. And it was like if Bruce got miniaturized and pissed off, and now Dick had to babysit. And it was fun.
Dude, that is a great way to put it. Bruce being miniaturized. Like, okay, I'm going to go back to this because I love going back to animation when I can. Does anyone remember the episode of Justice League Unlimited where Morgan Le Fay's son turns all the Justice League into kids?
Yes, because Wonder Woman holds Batman bridal style and it's very cute. But yes.
It's
that
like,
with more murder.
Yeah, your girlfriend is sure bossy. Shut up.
Yes.
Right? Like,
I love that episode.
So it reminds me of that. Like, yeah, when they dial up it to 11. And you're right. It's that. You're right. Like, you're absolutely right. Like, it absolutely shook everything up, and it did make everything interesting. And I bet you if I go downstairs and get out some of my long boxes to find all that Batman I bought in that era, because I was buying, like, I think that's pretty much when I started buying Batman monthly. I used to like trade wait, then I was like, oh, I can't trade wait. Then I think I was reading it all the way through Batman R.I.P. And then after Batman R.I.P., then of course we're reading the Dick and Damian run, right? And gosh, man, whew, what a time! But now I'm sure I have comics from before that. So now you're right. I want to go back. Like, I'm trying to think, when did Stephanie Brown come in? Like, that had to be right before Damian. And I think, that too, I think that raised, because she was Robin in Tim's title, because it's just Robin. It wasn't called Tim Drake Robin, just, and in the just like the Batman series stuff, detective. So I wonder if like there was a reaction to that, of like that change of like it feels fresh. And then somehow it's just like, I think that's where things might have started going downhill for Tim. Was the moment like Stephanie wore the red and green, right? So
and was good.
Like,
and was real good.
Good. It was like 3 issues, but it was so good.
Yeah.
And it's still like one of my like favorite looks on a costume.
Oh yeah, it was fun.
Oh, it was
big
fun.
Hair.
Yes, I'm trying to remember like who was the artist on that, because is a little more cartoony and stuff as well. So she had she had the big hair and like, it looked so dynamic. It looked so good. Yeah, I miss that. I kind of wish we had a little more of that, to be honest. I think.
Oh, me too. See, and that's the thing. Tim is your favorite Robin, and you still would have sacrificed Tim Robin time to get more of Stephanie, because
because you gotta like,
he's not as interesting.
I will always sacrifice some Tim time for Stephanie, because Stephanie always was just a side character in his title. And I love Stephanie Brown. I loved it because she loved Tim. I love Tim. We can all share that love for Tim.
You and it over it.
Yeah, right. So it's and to me too, it was like that. You're a teenager in the 90s, you're dude, and you're all like, you like Robin, so you're getting a little insecure about it. So when you see him, kissing this really hot blonde, you're just like, see, Robin's like super cool, right?
Like, so Robin's cool. He doesn't wear the pixie shorts anymore. He's cool now, or the pixie boots.
However, then it's funny, like 10 years later, I'm like 26 and going, man, the pixie boots actually were kind of cool.
Right? You're like, hold on, reverse, bring them back, maybe, actually?
Yeah.
Now you got Damian and thigh highs instead.
And it's funny, like, when I say that too, I think that's around the time like Robin Year One came out. And I was like, I want to read more modern takes on past Dick Grayson, like a young Dick Grayson as Robin, but still like in the pixie boots fighting Killer Moth and Two-Face. And
World's Finest right now is doing a very fun young Dick as Robin. He's not in the little shorts. It's a modern look, but it is a really, really fun throwback to experiencing young Dick again. I'm enjoying it.
Yes. Thank you, Grumps. Damian Scott, I think, is the initial artist on this stuff, and that is correct. That is the name. That is absolutely who it was. Thank you for that.
Yeah, there's a lot of Steph love in the chat that I'm really appreciating. Gotham Stalker, John, because she deserved it. She does.
Yep, I agree. And her Batgirl run is great too.
Oh yeah.
And her Batgirl costume also like, with the purple on the sides. Come on,
So
that's like such a good costume.
now that we've gotten all of our feelings out, do we want to see what some of the DC artists and writers want to say about our boys?
Let's do it.
Okay, so this first one, Fitzmartin and Rossmo. Fitzmartin is working on a lot of, I want to say, the current Tim Drake. Yeah, a lot of current Tim Drake. Dark Crisis, DC Pride, which I liked Tim Drake's DC Pride special. Was not one of the ones I had major issue with. Dark Crisis, Future State. So she's working on a lot of Tim Drake right now. So she's got opinions. She says he's the smartest and discovered who Batman was on his own. Tim actively sought out the role with the information he had about Batman's identity. He didn't try and be famous or blackmail Bruce. He didn't do anything other than try to be helpful. To me, the core of Tim Drake is that his intelligence is perfectly paired with his empathy. Which
that's true.
I mean, and that does go back a lot to what we were saying earlier. I mean, like the way he treats Jason, the way he treated Connor, the way he treats Bruce himself, that is kind of hitting the nail on the head for what we described about Tim and what we appreciate about him too.
Right. And I think that's why he feels out of character when anyone tries to write or draw him like really angry and violent, because that's just not him.
Right. I do appreciate when he's drawn unconsciously cruel, because he is less of the social butterfly. He's a little more calculating. So I think when you're calculating, it lends to more accidentally hurting people.
Right.
And I appreciate when he's written with those moments a lot. And then you have Riley Rossmo, who is currently working on Harley Quinn, has worked in Constantine, Dark Knight, the Batman Who Laughs. And he said,
my boy.
And he said he's the smartest, and I think that's fair to say. He's not so angry of a Robin. I like Damian, but he can be a hard person, which is accurate. Like we talked about, being interesting and being likable are two different things, unfortunately.
Yes, especially in comics, and sometimes in real life.
Especially in comics.
I don't want that in my politics, but I want it in my comics.
Right? Exactly. Hey, that's that fiction reality line.
Right. It's true. It's very true.
Yeah, and it's true. It's like Tim is the least angry of the Robins. I mean, even Dick Grayson has an infamous temper, despite how he's written sometimes. He's been softened a little bit more recently, I think. But historically, he has a temper in the comics, especially when he's grown as Nightwing.
Yes.
A lot of that unresolved daddy issues with Bruce.
That's what I was about to say. There's definitely some dad issues.
Yeah, but he wasn't an angry Robin, but he is an angry Nightwing. We all know who Jason is. You all know who Damian is. And Tim really just wasn't.
Yep.
So that's what they're saying about Tim and a little bit about Damian. Here we have Wade, Mark Wade. Ryan, if you want to talk about him for a second.
Well, Mark Wade, if you're watching this show and you don't know who Mark Wade is, one, I'll be kind of shocked and surprised. Two, but if you're new, first off, welcome to the show, and I hope you're enjoying our comic talk. But Mark Wade he's a legendary dude. He has worked on everything you could possibly think of. His runs on pretty much every character has been legendary, and I mean, he's worked with a lot of legendary. Like, I don't even know where to start. Like Avengers, Captain America. He's done Batman, Justice League. Gosh, like everything. Oh, dang near everything. Like he's also known as a comic book historian. So like when a lot of people go and they need interviews and stuff for DVDs and special features and all that, they usually go to Mark Wade. Mark Wade just sits there and goes, well, it's and he just goes, and he's like a big hardcore collector too. Like I think like he's another thing about Mark Wade where I totally relate to Mark Wade. He did an interview for Wizard long time ago, and he was talking about collecting Superpowers toys. These Superpowers toys I talk about all the time on this show and on Toy Anxiety. He talked about being in college when Superpowers came out, like the original ones, and how he went from like town to town looking for the Cyborg figure, which I totally respect. So he's a pioneer in toy hunting. So bless this man. And he's also, I think he owns or did own the rarest Superman comic in existence as well at one point. So this, like I said, the dude is a legend. uh yeah, no, great, I love his work. But anyways,
So can
let's
you
hear.
tell us what you said about his opinion right before stream started?
Oh!
Can you share that with the chat for me, Ryan, before we read his statement?
Oh, how dare you! Oh man. Okay, first off, that was really mean. Damian's clearly your favorite Robin.
I like Dick Grayson too.
I was saying how, like, well, whatever Mark Waid says, I'll just have to accept it as fact because he's Mark Waid and he does
So
no
let's see what
wrong.
Mark Waid says then. Wade
Please.
doesn't think that Wade doesn't think that Damian is the best Robin. He's awesome, but Dick is the best Robin. Damian has an arrogance to him, but that is not always a bad thing. Damian is always confident and has a plan. He never looks at a problem and thinks, oh no, I don't know what to do. And then here's where Mark's comment got controversial on Twitter for a hot minute there. He thinks that if you made all the Robins do an IQ test, that Damian would win by a landslide because he's a smart kid. I don't know if I've ever seen someone talk about the smartest Robin and not talk about Tim Drake, but I love it.
Yeah, it had to be that. See, I remember you saying this quote, but you didn't say who said it. And I was like, oh, I don't know about that. And I still kind of feel that way. It feels like a personal
No, here's
attack.
what I think about Damian. Here's the thing, because you have to remember, he got introduced as a 10-year-old. And I know I keep repeating that because I feel like, I mean, he's a 10-year-old. And whenever people ask which of the Robins would win in a fight, I'm always asked, well, with how they are right now, or if we're assuming they're all the same age. Because if you age up Damian, let's say they're all 30 across the board, Damian's going to win that fight. He just is. Mm-hmm. He has been designed, and this could be, a lot of people feel like this is bad writing, and that's fine. But the truth is that he has been designed to have everything, to be intelligent, to be physically, not to get into eugenics, because it is absolutely eugenics. Raish is a villain, don't forget. To be like designed in this way to be ideal. And if he gets to that point in his life where he's a full-grown adult, where he has the training and he's overcome, his emotions that he had as a 10-year-old, which he's already shown now at like 14, he's really close to having his emotional shit together, actually. I mean, better than Jason does, better than Dick does, even in a lot of ways. So I don't see any reason why an adult Damian, after he's had the chance to grow, couldn't be the smartest and the strongest of all of the Robins.
Yeah, I guess it really depends who's writing.
Yeah.
Right?
It depends if you've nerfed all his character development or not.
Right. But what I'm saying is, like, not necessarily not to dismiss it. I'm just being salty. But it's but you are right. Like, he is designed to be like, when he's an adult, he's gonna be like Bat God. When like people talk about like Batman can beat anybody and like Bruce Wayne, you give him enough time, he could take out anyone, right? And it's just kind of like, that's I believe that's always half true.
Yes.
But we see Batman get tossed around a lot. And I think there's going to be all the best attributes about Bruce and of Batman, even like from even for the stuff you learned from like Dick Grayson. All that stuff is going to get transferred into Damian. And because he's going to be growing up in a time where, you're right, like emotionally, he's not going to be Dick. He's not going to be Bruce.
Yeah.
He's probably
because I think people forget that he was Dick's Robin before he was Bruce's Robin. It wasn't he was with Bruce and then switched to Dick. He started as Robin under Dick Grayson. That's where he learned how to be Robin and how to be a hero, not from Bruce. It actually was not Bruce that instilled the morals in him. It wasn't Bruce that made him softer. It wasn't Bruce that, helped him grow. It was Dick. And that's why Damian got the growth that he got. If he had been with Bruce, that would not have happened. And we all know that. It happened because he was with Dick.
Yeah, if they had him off with Bruce, I think right away, he'd be, there'd be a phone call. Yeah. Oh yeah, you're right.
He would have
He
gone
probably
villain
moves.
so fast. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But no, I like I said, like I love all that series, and is Damian? They did an IQ test. Yeah, okay. Now, when you think of it this way, if you do an IQ test, Damian would probably win. You're probably right. It's not like Ra's al Ghul is an idiot.
Right.
Bruce is definitely
Talia
not an
certainly
idiot.
isn't.
Correct. I'm just saying it. Like even if you're going just by genes alone, big feels, and I think he's going to just have an advantage just from the gene pool that he's put into. Oh, I don't know if you're ready. Maybe not. Do you want me to read the next quote for you? And we'll.
That was all the quotes.
That was all the quotes. Okay. But if you want, we can. It's 1 o'clock. Or 1 o'clock. We've been 1 hour, and let's just look at some of the last few comments, and then we can sign off for the evening. Again, thank you to everyone who joined us. Again, thank you. It's very much appreciated. Right? Oh, here's a from Grumps. When we were talking about Stephanie Brown being Robin, also we're talking pre-social media now. Everyone now, so we were surprised by character changes, and that's absolutely true. I think, and that you know what, and another thing back then too is because of not just social media, but just by the internet alone. Because now we have everyone is looking at solicitations, so everybody knows what's happening 3 months later, or at least has an idea. Not everybody was always picking up previews, in diamond catalogs back then. And I still even think back then that still might be online. Like they could have been on bleedingcool.com or whatever was a cool website back then. Do people still go to websites? I'm not even sure. Yeah. That's a no. That was good timing. Steph actually was able to grow, which was great to see. Agreed. It was. John Yerkeba Part 4. Birth rate is still the best Superman origin. I don't make the rules. I will agree with that. Mark Waid killed it on birth rate. And yeah, I still think Mark Waid is like one of the best. Mark Waid just writes those characters like Captain America and Superman just so well. His Avengers run is really great too that he did with oh my gosh, the guy just George Lopez. George Perez Lopez. What's wrong with me tonight? Okay. Grumps, I still don't have that Cyborg figure. Me too, brother. Me too. I only know one person that has that. And when he passes away, I'm taking his toys. Gotham Stalker. Not against future Tim Drake. That became Batman. But he whooped all their asses at the same time in the Batcave. Again,
so
it's one of
those
those.
are always so
Go ahead.
interesting. Those future glimpses into who's going to wear the cowl. I mean, obviously it's not going to be Jason or Dick. It just isn't. I really think the three contenders for it are Tim, Damian, and Cass, and kind of full stop right there. But I mean, when you get into future Tim Drake too, I think with Tim and Damian, one of those things too is like if any of you play TTRPGs, there's the intelligence versus wisdom, where if Damian has the higher intelligence, does Tim have him on like just wisdom and that street smart and that cunning though?
That's you know what? I was thinking that too earlier. That Tim has like better social skills than Damian. Right? So I mean there's some balance there. Like you can be super
because he was
smart and
raised
still
with
be an idiot.
people.
Right. Like I know plenty of smart people that are I know plenty of smart people that suck.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Batman 666. Damian was the badass Batman. Right, because he the trench coat.
And that one was fun because that was our first glimpse at a future evil Damian. And then every time since then has kind of been. But that one was exciting.
Yeah, that's correct. John Yerkeba Part 4. I fully agree with Lexi. Damian at peak character development. When he's got stuff figured out, it's going to be the best of them 100%. I agree. I absolutely agree. John, your cave. How Tim and Damian would solve a mystery would be different, even if the technically have similar intelligent levels, or even if Damian's is higher. Uh, that is also very true. That's
Yeah, 100%.
yep. Uh, Grumps, there's a great panel in a book where Damian gets killed by by the heretic, and Damian says, "Where oh, we were the best, Richard." Oh yeah, okay, hang on, sorry, I can't read tonight for some reason. I think been at work training all week, and I've lost how to read. Damien says, "We were the best, Richard. I don't care what anyone says." Paraphrasing, of course. And
Yes.
I do remember that. And I do remember that. I forgot how Damien called him Richard. And he would
Always. He
always
still calls him Richard.
still calls him Richard. And even though you're reading it, it still sounds so condescending.
Yeah, it's hilarious. I mean, those that is one of my like top three. Like Damien and Dick just have some. I just love their relationship because I feel like it almost is like that adoptive father-son relationship that we haven't really seen since Bruce and Dick, to be honest. Like done quite in that way. And it's even better in a lot of ways. I just think it's so beautiful. You have that moment. The other moment that absolutely kills me is from the Robin run, where Dick catches him and he says, "You were my Robin." And it's just like, because he said all the rest of us, he said the rest of us, like we were Robins, we were Bruce's Robin, but you were my Robin. And then of course the scene I've mentioned before where they're sitting on a rooftop and Dick admits that when Bruce came back, he considered taking Damian with him to Bloodhaven and not leaving him with Bruce. So yeah, they have some really beautiful moments together. I love how their relationship has developed in the comics.
Yeah, I agree. And Vickman, who I also want to point out, is coming to us all the way from Mexico. Thank you so much.
Hey.
We're hitting all of North America tonight with you here, with Canada, the States, and Mexico. But I like this comment too. Let Damian and Tim team up. Who is Batman? Like who even?
So actually, I'm gonna do a screen share really quick because I want to address that very badly. Because there is some art that has come out recently. So it started with this cover, right? This like original Batman and Robin, Dick and Damian. And then this art was made. Sorry for the bad quality, but like I'm trying to find them as we go. So then it was this art, which is like them and their poses, except he's back in Nightwing and Damian is a little older. And now there's one. It's this one, except see where's the full version of it? They had a cover where it's now Tim and Damian is standing like Dick was in the Batman position. See, like you can see these two side by side, and then Tim is in the Robin position, standing like Damian was.
Right.
So it's almost like a hint at Robin Tim with Bat Damian. I'm just saying.
So, do we think Batman versus Robin is going to because there was the book Robins that came out and it was just all about the Bat Boys.
Yeah.
Do you think we're now like Batman versus Robin is going to lead into a Damian Tim book?
I don't. I wish that it was. I don't think it actually is. I think that moment was really just the artists being like, I see a vision and I'm going to make this nod to like, like these like really iconic covers. I think it was more of that than an actual story hint, unfortunately. But I appreciate it for what it is.
That's I get that. And we'll do one last comment here from John. And we'll do our signing off. You Were My Robin is right up there with Barry pulling the OG Wally back into reality and Rebirth as an all-time great comics moment. And
so good.
I agree. I love Wally West. So Wally West is my Flash. I don't care what anyone says. But this is not a Flash podcast, lucky for you. So, but who's to say? But who's to say we don't get into that in the future? Anyways, I mean,
we always stay on topic. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I never go into a Lois Lane rant or like
or Superman or John Kent.
Not here.
I would
but
never.
Yeah, I'll start doing my sign off here. My last words, or my final thoughts of the night. Thank you to everyone who joined us watching live. Thank you to everyone who's watching on the replay. If you like what you liked, please hit the like button. If you really liked what you like, and we hope you did, please hit the subscribe button. At the same time, feel free to leave us a comment. Tell us what you think. If you want to carry on the conversation as well, if you have any topics you'd like us to cover, drop that in the comments down below as well. You can find me, Ryan Dole, also on Tuesday nights on Toy Anxiety, on the Toy Anxiety channel. And you can find me on social media just under Ryan Dole 31. Feel free to just, we love Batman. And we're also, Gotham City Tonight is on Instagram. We're on Twitter under Gotham City Tonight. I haven't decided if we're going to start a TikTok yet because both of us are been super crazy busy and we have trouble just alone with just Instagram, let alone something else completely. And that one's just posting a photo. So I can't imagine us doing some editing yet. And we're still on Spotify, correct?
The first episode is. I am behind on uploading the rest, but that is one of my weekend projects this weekend, actually.
Okay, so there you go. Expect a big upload. So if you're wanting to re-listen to them, there we go. Central City Tonight spinoff. Let's go.
Metropolis City Tonight. All of them.
November we'll do a special Metropolis City Tonight. Just because it's the 30th anniversary of the death of Superman. So we'll check that out as well. But yeah, so that's not for another month. Let's not even talk about November. But yeah, that's where you can find me. Lexi, take it away, sign off, and do all that jazz. You get the floor.
Absolutely. You can find me at Lexi the First across social media. I'm pretty much here right now as we are reconfiguring life with a baby. But thank you all so much for being here. Y'all stay safe out there in Gotham. It can be wild in those streets. So you guys take care, and we will see you here Wednesday next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Good night, everyone.
Good night.